What's up, everybody? How's it going? Let me know how I sound. What's up, everybody? Sounds like a little bit of an echo. How's it going? Let me know. I am using a new streaming software. Let me see something. Is this better? Does this sound better? Does this sound better? Let me see something. Is this better? Does this kind of sounds the same? All right, anyway, I'll just leave it like this. I had a background noise remover on, but all right. What's going on, everybody? Jonathan, Brock, Sixto, Jesse, Sean, Andrew. What's up, everyone? Mr. Death Pilot is here. What's up, Badger? Peanut Butter. That's a good name. But yeah, I switched streaming softwares because, for anyone unaware, I am on a somewhat aged Mac. It's from 2017, bought it in 2018. And so last few months, I've been having a lot of problems with OBS, which is probably the most popular streaming software. It's free, open source, and it just doesn't work anymore on my computer. I've deleted and reinstalled it several times, and I can get it to a point where it works a little bit, and then like today, went again, tried to open it, and it just crashes immediately and doesn't work. So I bit the bullet, and I signed up for StreamYard. Now, I signed up originally just on a free account a few streams back when we hit our Patreon goal, and I announced it, and the stream crashed, and OBS crashed. I scrambled and found StreamYard and signed up for free just to finish out the stream. But I went back on, and I actually signed up now to a membership to see if I like it. And so far, I think the quality looks good. There's some interesting tools on here. The layout is pretty easy and user-friendly. So I like that I can have the messages here in the corner of you guys on the screen. And I think it looks pretty good. Michael, how's it going, Michael? Pager, up until recently, DS9 is your favorite Shrek, but you can't see yourself watching the full reactions. Yeah, no problem there. Thanks. DS9 reactions are great. Thank you. So, yeah, as the stream is titled, we can talk DS9. Just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of where we are at from a recording standpoint. Yesterday, we watched the Next Generation episode, season 6, episode 19, Lessons. So that's how far we are in that show. And we were going to watch Deep Space Nine episodes 12 and 13. However, we did not. So we are currently up through episode 11 of Deep Space Nine, which was the Ferengi episode. I forget what is like the Ferengi called, the Grand something. I forget the name, but that's the last one we watched. Jim, just finished watching your latest upload. Appreciate that. So if this is your first time coming to one of my Ask Me Anything sessions, obviously, if you submit a super chat, I'll answer that right away. It looks pretty cool on StreamYard here. I can just click the message like that. I just click the random one, and it'll come up on the screen. So if we have any super chats come through, I will read those right away here on the screen. And then if you're in just the general chat, if it's a question that you want me to get to and read on stream, I'll try to get to all of them. But if it's just in the regular free chat, just start your message with the letter Q. Shout out John Delancey. We already have Tom here, knows how to do it. Q. So how much did you hate Q less? So we'll get into that soon. The Grand Nagus. Yeah, Nagus. Everyone's coming in. Nagus. Yeah, thank you. Here's a good one from the Ghost 81. Have a favorite character yet in Deep Space Nine? Me personally, through 11 episodes, when the show started out, absolutely my favorite was Kira. However, after her episode, what I would consider her episode, which is already up on YouTube, past prologue, she hasn't done much. She's really been in the background a lot. So I'm hoping that she gets more soon. I'm sure she will. But that was my original favorite character, and then Alex's was Odo. He probably still is Odo for him. For me, now that we're in terms of who actually has had screen time thus far, I probably would lean Odo myself as well. Although I will say my favorite character dynamic thus far is definitely Cisco and Dax. Them individually wouldn't be my favorite characters, just based on, again, what they've been able to do thus far. But anytime they tend to have scenes together, it's some of the best that I've experienced thus far. Just from the Trill lore aspect, from their relationship together, from her being Curzon Dax. I'm really fascinated by all of that. But in terms of individual characters, it would still be Kira. Let's see. And as far as the free chat, if I miss your question, if it passes me by, feel free to throw it back in every few minutes. I'll try to get to all of them. Horner Silk, the biggest question: how has your view on the Ferengi changed since watching Deep Space Nine? Yeah, I don't think it's changed a whole ton. I feel like my view on the Ferengi had already started to evolve in TNG later on here in the show, because the Ferengi portrayals haven't been horrendous like they were early in the show. So Rascals definitely had my favorite Ferengi portrayal with that character. And then even was it Unification two-parter that had the fat Ferengi? Was it in that one? I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was funny. But in the Deep Space Nine, I do like Quark, and I it hasn't changed that much. I guess would be my main answer. I don't hate them, and they're not my favorite. That's kind of where they're still at. So I'm going to give everyone a preemptive spoiler warning right now, because, like I've already said, we have watched up through episode 11 of Deep Space Nine. I'll answer some TNG questions, by the way, as well, if anyone has them. But we have watched up through episode 11 of Deep Space Nine. So if anyone has questions about stuff that has not posted here on YouTube, we have posted up through episode 9, The Passenger, over on Patreon, full watch along. But if you have questions, I will openly talk about how we felt, or how I felt about certain Deep Space Nine episodes or themes or characters or whatever you want. So just keep that in mind. If you want to know nothing about our reactions that have not come out yet, be aware of that. I will, I am willing to talk about that. Early thoughts on who Alex should wrestle as from Deep Space Nine. Probably I would say the Chief, but I don't know if Alex has that build, so I don't know. Badger, do you enjoy the different tone of Deep Space Nine so far? I do. I really do. Although at this point, I'm still very early on in the show, I don't know how actually different it is, to be honest with you. It definitely is different, but it's not like some huge difference from TNG or TOS thus far. Yeah, 18.4K seems like you just hit 18K last week. Yeah, we were at in the mid 17,000s for the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, and had kind of stalled out on the subscriber side, gaining, 100 to 200 subscribers a month. And Deep Space Nine has definitely helped that with a boost. First, with our pre series discussion video that hitting YouTube gave us a little bump. And then obviously the pilot last week, or the premiere, has been our biggest video, our biggest bump subscriber wise in the last year. So um, that has been really cool, and it's been really awesome to see. I hope some people that are here now maybe are people that have just shown up in the last week. If that's you, welcome to the target audience. Love to see the new people. We've had a lot of growth on Patreon as well. So, I figured there would be a bump when we got to the new show, because it's not like a movie that's a one off. It's going to be something we're now going to be watching for the next few years. So I figured there would be some new people. And the good thing is it hasn't just been the first episode either. The past prologue video that went up on Monday, and then even today, A Man Alone has only been up for a few hours, but already new subscribers are coming in. So I think YouTube is recognizing that it's a little bit of a different audience for Deep Space Nine and pushing it to some different people, and that's cool to see. Josh says, did DS9 renew your excitement for Trek? In certain ways, yeah. But season 6 of TNG has been so good overall that, if we had been watching season 5 in Deep Space Nine started, I would have felt a lot more of a renewal of my excitement. But with season 6, I was already, going into DS9 from Chain of Command, I was already on a high, and then doing the jumping back and forth. Besides one episode of TNG, everything has been, excellent, basically, good to excellent. So that has helped. But DS9 DS9, I think, just made me more get engrossed into the franchise and realize, like, because there was a fear of, oh, I found TOS and I love TOS, and then getting to TNG, I figured I would love it, and I do. But past that, am I going to actually love the rest of this? And yeah, I mean, so far, yes, I do. So it kind of brought me more into the franchise as a whole rather than just individual shows. But only 11 episodes in, so it's early. Witcher Joker, do you think bigger, more diverse, more aliens, less Starfleet cast adds to DS9 being a better show? 100% yes. One of my favorite things about Deep Space Nine so far is them not being afraid to use the aliens, not only that we've already met and seen, the species that we've already met in Star Trek, but also new ones. Most of them have been good. There's been a couple lazy ones, but that's one thing I've really, really enjoyed, and it not being Starfleet exclusively. The space station having some Starfleet people, but then also others. That's one of my favorite parts of the show so far. And I see a lot more people have come in since the beginning. So I'll just restate. Ask me anything. We've watched up through episode 11 of Deep Space Nine, and we've watched up through season 6, episode 19 of TNG Lessons. And that's what I'm going to be answering, obviously, because that's all I've seen. So please, no spoilers. But if those videos that have not gone up on YouTube or Patreon, if you don't want to hear about those, just keep that in mind. And if you send a super chat, I'll answer it right away. If you want to send it in the free chat, make sure to put a Q at the beginning of your message. Shout out John Delancey, and I'll get to as many of them as I can. Q, can't wait for your reaction to the season 4 premiere. That isn't a question, Jose, but thank you. Open Wall Productions, where do you think DS9 is weakest thus far? In the episodic plots. There have been a couple episodic plots that I've really enjoyed, but on the whole, a lot of these episodic plots I don't care about, or they're not that well written, and I'm more so trying to focus on getting to know these characters, getting engrossed in the series, in the world, and kind of like with TNG, hoping that those good episodic plots come later. TOS was special. It was right off the bat. The Man Trap, Charlie X, Where No Man Has Gone Before, The Naked Time. I mean, right off the bat, The Enemy Within, you know, just perfect episodes. And TNG was not, absolutely not, and neither is Deep Space Nine. So, with that being said, I'm just, even with the episodes we don't like, which there have been some, we try to pull out, what about these characters? What about the dynamics? Or from the technical side of things, what have we enjoyed? But the episodic plots, honestly, there's only one off the top of my head that I remember being like, I really love this story. And that was Captive Pursuit, which will be coming out next week on YouTube. So outside of that, the episodic plots haven't been anything that have really grabbed me. A lot of techno babble, a lot of just not good ones, to be honest with you. All right, sweet. We got a super chat. Let's see here. Empire Jeff, thank you very much. How excited were you to see Vash again? Yeah, so Vash shows up in Q Less, and I'm not going to say I was excited, because if you are a fan of the channel, you know that we did not like Vash whatsoever in TNG. The cool thing about it in Q Less was, for me, I can no longer hide myself from the episode titles for Deep Space Nine, so I knew it was a Q episode, Q Less, but Vash is the first reveal in the episode. So I didn't see that coming. So it was a cool double reveal where I still got to have a reaction and be surprised. And then when Q shows up, Alex, who doesn't know the titles of the episodes, got to have the double surprise. And then on top of that, I thought Vash was great in Q Less. So was not excited to see her, but turned out pretty good. Turned out that hey, and you'll see more about that reaction soon on YouTube. It is already over on Patreon. Sixto, is it true you tattooed the entire Alamarine chant on your back? And don't lie. Yes, but you're not allowed to see it. You're not allowed to see my back because I do have it all tattooed on there, but I'm a very hairy person, so I have a very hairy back, and you would not be able to see it. Thank you for the super chat, though, Sixto. Bridge crew member. Appreciate it. Jonathan says that was the only spoiler title of the entire series. Okay, we'll see. I take that to mean that there's no more episodes with the letter Q in them then? Josh, do you get tired of the fun fact comments that repeat the same things? I've seen many comments about Kira initially being intended to be Ro, played by Michelle Forbes. Get tired of them? Yeah, I do. I try to think from the commenter's perspective. They're coming to our video, they're not reading any other comments, and they think that they're the first one to say it. It not only happens on YouTube, it happens even on Patreon as well. But YouTube is much, much worse with it. I find it hilarious. I wouldn't say get tired of it. I find it hilarious. The older the video is, or the more repeated the comment is, the funnier it gets. So that's where the memes that we have come from, like did you know Nurse Chapel is the computer, or stuff like that. We still get comments to this day on old videos of about Scotty's nephew in Wrath of Khan. It's just, no one reads the comments. It is what it is. Another super chat. Thank you so much, Dr. Butt Lasers. Love the photo as well. What are your thoughts on the DS9 sets in general, from the massive Promenade, Quark sets, and the Ops Turbo Lift actually being functional? I love the Deep Space Nine set. I love it so much. One of my favorite things about the show. It feels real. It feels lived in. And it just looks so much better than TNG, which it has been kind of a blessing, because one of my biggest worries going into DS9 is there's no Blu-ray remaster, the strict DVD file, the 480p or whatever it is. And I was really worried about that. But it's actually not been that at all. And if anything, the lesser quality probably even helps how it looks. Because when we get to Birthright, which is going to be coming out on Patreon tomorrow for early access tiers, and then Saturday for everybody on Patreon, they have that crossover where Beverly and Picard are on the Deep Space Nine station, and it's in this remastered, Blu-ray effect, and I don't like it. And I don't like it. I like the dark, dimly lit, space station of Deep Space Nine. I've always thought one of the big flaws of TNG is that it just looks like a TV show. It just looks like a flatly lit TV show. Now, some directors do come in and they do an amazing job. Jonathan Frakes, Cliff Bole, Rick Colby, but a lot of the times they can't escape like how brightly lit and everything it looks. And there are pros to that as well, but I prefer the DS9 style for sure. The pros with it for TNG is that it makes it feel like home. It makes it feel like somewhere you want to live. I want to live on the Enterprise D. I wouldn't want to live on the Deep Space Nine station. I'd be scared to do so. But as a TV show, look, I love it. Michael Nemo, thank you so much for the super chat. Dude, make an OF page for your Harry back. I'll keep that in mind. Maybe once we get to New Trek and everyone stops watching us, I'll keep that in mind. Long Hill Andy, thank you so much, Andy. Speaking of Ash, I saw a piece today that Patrick Stewart was having an affair with the actress during Cupid, which I think is hilarious when you've mentioned their lack of chemistry on screen. Yeah, and also we talked about the repeating fun fact comments. I mean, yes, we are aware of this because of so many comments from first Captain's Holiday and then Cupid. And we've talked about this before in the videos, I mean, it just goes to show it doesn't matter if you were sleeping with Patrick Stewart, and it doesn't matter if you were Patrick Stewart's real son. That doesn't translate to on-screen chemistry. Harry Potter says, question, have you hit like? That's a question for everyone here. Have you hit the like? Thank you, Harry. Yeah, please do so. Mike says, so far, who's your least interesting main character? We're talking DS9, obviously. Main character, as in the main crew, least interesting. That's a tough one. I'm going to go at it two ways. One, my personal interest just based on who I think the character is. And then two, what the character has been able to do on screen. So the on-screen portion, it's got to be Dr. Bashir. I don't dislike him. I actually really like the actor. I think his performances have been great in all except a couple of episodes. And I really liked his crossover in Birthright. But in terms of what he's been able to do in the show, not much so far, except for be a simp to Dax. So that would be my. And then when he does get an episode here in The Passenger, not great. And then as far as just least interested from a character perspective, I'm hoping to be proven wrong, but as of right now, it is Quark. I like Quark. He's really funny, but I have yet to see okay, what's the next step with this character? What is Quark's trauma? What is Quark's buy-in for me? Because right now he just seems like the comic relief bartender casino guy, which is great, but it's almost already even been overused to the point where it's like there's a lot of Quark in every episode, and it's like I want to see more of Dax, I want to see more of Dr. Bashir and Kira, and it's like we're just getting Quark, and it's like okay, it's just a bit much for me. I'm sure it'll even out though as the series goes on. We got some more super chats. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Sixto again, thank you. Did you know Patrick Stewart's son played his son when Picard had a son in the planet? Yes, very much. Michael Nemo, the now closed Star Trek experience in Vegas had Quark's bar and aliens walking around. Take pics with aliens, order drinks, gift shops. Amazing. That sounds amazing. And I love Vegas. I wish it was still open. I would go visit it and make a video. However, on that note, the Neutral Zone Studios is coming to an area near me here in Ohio. And I've tried to go. It's not open yet. I've even spoken to the guy who runs it about doing something there, and I'm just kind of waiting at this point. So if anyone wants to reach out to them and tell them they should do something with us, please do. Thank you, Michael, by the way, for that super chat. Darren, do you like the station's Cardassian aesthetic? I do. I do really like it. And I love the idea that it's not built by Starfleet. It's built by an enemy of Starfleet. I really like that. Thank you for the super chat. All new Doctor Who book club podcast. This is still one of my favorite YouTube usernames. Will the mailbag PO box shorts be coming soon? Yes, we do have the first batch of them recorded. It's just a matter of editing, and right now I'm really behind on editing. That's why I'm here doing this live stream instead of editing. No, but I am really behind on editing, and I'm kind of in a, building the sidewalk as I walk on it, kind of pace right now. I'm editing uncut reactions and posting them right when I'm done. I'm editing YouTube videos and posting them right when I'm done. So, when it comes to something like the PO box shorts, those are kind of on the back burner until I get through it. And I am transitioning, for anyone unaware, into doing this full time eventually here in the short term future, because we did hit our Patreon goal. But I am not quite there. So I'm still balancing all of this on the channel as well as my full-time job that I'm trying to, eventually pivot out of. So when that happens, that will make it a little bit easier, but I'm going to be honest, even then it's a lot. And people say, why don't I hire an editor? And the answer is, I'm not going to hire another person to do the work on the channel if I'm not even making enough for myself from the channel to sustain it. So, once I reach that point, it'll be better. But at the end of the day, I'm one guy, and my wife Haley helps me out. She edits almost all of the YouTube Star Trek videos. So, even with that, she has a full-time job. And so Alex helps when he can, but that's where we're at. So the answer is yes, they are coming. They have been recorded, and our PO box is open. They are coming. Just when? I don't know. But thank you for the super chat. Jake is the weakest for me. Is that Cisco's son? Yeah, I didn't even count him. I mean, if that's an answer, then sure, I would say Jake, but I don't even consider him part of the main cast at this point. Ixum Fallacy, thank you very much for the super chat. Does your picture say AI erotica? I'm going to leave that alone. Why do you think characters like Data are so popular, the anti-human trying to be human? I think it goes back to, great question, by the way. I think that goes back to the kind of childlike innocence and wonder of a character like Data, where we all can relate when you see a child trying to walk for the first time, or do a task that you can tell it doesn't quite know how to do. There's like a certain relation we all have to that, because we all at one point in our lives went through that, and part of us kind of aches to get back to that, and we never can. So seeing someone else do it kind of brings us a warm feeling. And I think the same is true for Data. Not that he's a baby, but just that innocence of Data trying to figure out what love is, or what friendship is, or what small talk is. These things make us feel good because as humans, we've already experienced them, and we get to vicariously see someone else try to do it. But with Data specifically, he's not a baby. He's a fully sentient, self-aware adult. So getting to be able to see an adult go through that process is very, I think, cathartic in a lot of ways. Great question. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats. This is amazing. Appreciate it. Dan, not DS9, but in Tapestry, in a blink and you miss it moment, if you watch the first flashback of the fight, one of the Nausicaans rolls off camera, but his wig stays on the floor. That's hilarious. I did not see that. And since a lot of people have joined, I'll just clarify again. I'm sorry if you've been here the whole stream. I'm repeating myself, but people come in and out. So we have watched up through episode 19 of season 6 of TNG, which is Lessons, and we've watched up through episode 11 of Deep Space Nine, which is the great, what is it? Nagus? The Great Nagus? Or is it just Nagus, I think it's called? So that's where we're at. So please don't spoil anything after that. This super chat, obviously Tapestry, we've already seen. So I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. $10 super chat. That's amazing. Thank you. $2 for the grift. Thank you, Steve. It's all about the grift at the end of the day. That's why we're here. Long Hill Andy, shout out to Haley, misspelt for all she does. That is misspelt, but thank you. It's a hard name to spell. There's a lot of variations, and hers is not a generic one. So thank you for that, though. Badger, where are you on Bridge Crew Movie Watch? So let's go over it. Bridge Crew Movie Watch. So for anyone unaware, our highest tier on Patreon is the Bridge Crew. It is roughly, I think it's $30 a month, and then with the annual discount, it's roughly $300 a year. If you sign up for the annual membership, you get a movie reaction full watch along on Patreon of your request, 3 hours or less of any non-Star Trek movie. We've watched about 16 of them. Badger, we have watched your movie, Moulin Rouge. This past week, we also watched Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, and we watched The Quiet Earth. So we only have, in terms of us watching, 4 left. And then there's still, I think, 5 or 6 patrons that have already signed up for the year that haven't even given us a request. And then in terms of uploading, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies that we have watched, but the reaction's not up. So those will be coming. And I believe just in order of when they should be coming out, it's Watership Down, The Black Hole, Defending Your Life, Moulin Rouge, The Quiet Earth, and Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. That's the order of movies we've watched but haven't posted yet on Patreon. So if anyone's curious about that, ones that we've already posted: The Changeling, Excalibur, Hot Fuzz, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, Blood of Heroes, The Poseidon Adventure, Ravenous, Field of Dreams, The Color Purple, Conan the Barbarian, Thank You for Smoking. Those are all already on Patreon, full watch-alongs. We are not doing edits for those unless we decide that we want to. But again, with where I'm at with editing, that's a tough ask. But there are definitely some, I mean, like for ones like Ravenous or The Changeling, if you're in the horror realm, there's definitely a better chance of that being edited because of the horror gallery. But that's where we're at. Thank you for the super chat, Badger. Michael, another one. Thank you so much. Did you ever notice in episode 2 of DS9 that the itinerary that the murderer had been on before DS9 was Alderaan from Star Wars? I did not notice it. Someone did point it out on Patreon once we posted the uncut. That's pretty cool. I'm not huge into Star Wars like Alex is, but that is neat. All right, I think we're caught up on super chats for now, so I'll jump into some of you guys here in the general chat. And again, if you're putting a question in the general chat, try to put a Q at the start like this here from Enigmatic Penguin, longtime patron. Are you looking forward to the evolution of more ambitious VFX on DS9 and Trek in general, as they will transition from motion control models to CGI during the run, or does it concern me? It concerns me heavily. It concerns me heavily. I'll just say, even we're talking about the Bridge Crew picks. A number of them we've watched recently have been from the early 2000s, and from the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s, Hollywood, whether it's TV or movies, just tried to lean onto CGI and VFX too much, and they weren't ready, and a lot of it aged extremely poorly. And, part of me is like, it is what it is, take it for what it is. But when it comes to Star Trek specifically, I'm not looking forward to it. And it's actually something I was very concerned about going into Deep Space Nine. It hasn't been that bad. There have been a few where I'm like, that's not great. But for the most part, it hasn't been that bad. I am very concerned about it, to be honest with you. And because of how our brains work and how we like to think about the technical side of things, a bad CGI effect is something we're going to point out and make fun of every single time. So just be prepared for that. Ixom, thank you again for another super chat. Will you be reacting to the Alien movies? I've already seen all the Alien movies, so I would not be able to react to them. I have not seen the new one. What was it, Alien Romulus? Was that what it was called? I did not see that. So in theory, I could react to that. I think Alex might have already seen it. But I've seen all of the other Alien movies. I love them. Well, the first 2 I really love. I think 3. I think 3 is okay. And then Resurrection, I think, is so bad it's good. I actually am a fan of Prometheus and don't really care for Covenant because of how it kind of threw Prometheus in the trash. So that's kind of where I stand on Alien movies. Also, Alien versus Predator is a good time. Thank you for the super chat. Andrew Briscoe didn't ask anything but donated $5. Thank you so much, Andrew, for that super chat. Ramen Noodles. Yo, what's up? JB thought we were both Star Wars fans. I am a Star Wars fan in the sense that I've seen the movies and I enjoy them, but I'm not like I don't care. Like it's not my thing, and so I don't get involved in all of the like sequel, prequel, original, arguments. Like I have my own opinions on it, but I don't really care. And I don't think I've seen any Star Wars TV outside of Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi because we reacted to those for the channel. Juna A. Which DS9 episode of DS9 has been the weakest so far? Without a doubt, the one with the Alamarine game in the game. I forget what it's called. That was the weakest one, and then the Passenger as well. I would put up there as the weakest one. The one with the game angered me more because with the Passenger, it was just whatever, bad episode, didn't really care. But the one with the game, I'm someone who loves board games and I love table games, and so the premise of taking Star Trek characters and Jumanjiing them into a board game sounds like an amazing premise, and they couldn't have executed it worse. So that made me very mad. I also almost fell asleep. Richard Joker, now that you know a bit more about the setting of Deep Space Nine, Space Station Wormhole, what are your hopes for possible plots over the 7 seasons? Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm not great at like predicting plots or anything. I do hope we get more into exploring the conflict between Bajor and the Cardassians. As far as the wormhole, I really have no idea, to be honest with you, because it goes to this gamma quadrant. I think Captive Pursuit is the only episode so far where someone has come through it. In the episode with the game, did they come through it? I don't remember. But the Captive Pursuit, it's probably my favorite episode so far. So, that's good. I hope we get more of that. And just weird aliens in general. Got some more super chats, it looks like. Sixto, thank you very much, man. Gotta go and work. Rolling eyes emoji. Nice seeing y'all. Enjoy the rest of the stream, and remember, Kira was supposed to be played by Ro. She was dating Picard, and she was played by his son. Thank you very much, Sixto. Enjoy your work. Move along home. Move along home. Yes, that is it. That is it. Webb, RLM includes the game on the list of favorite TNG episodes. Care to comment? Good for them. What comment are you looking for? Nice. I guess the one thing I will say is I have softened a little bit on the game. Just in the terms of an experience watching it. It's not boring. Well, no, it is kind of boring. It's not forgettable, I guess. It's an interesting one. I definitely would not put it as my worst of TNG. Maybe not even bottom 5, maybe. It might scoot into the bottom 10. Yeah, Jared, Cast of DS9 hated Move Along Home. A lot of patrons pointed this out. Me personally, kind of similar to the last message I just responded to, I don't really care about other people's opinions. And when it comes to like the cast hated this or the director hated this or whatever, or vice versa, they loved it. It's a fun thing to know. It doesn't really affect my opinion. In this case, I do happen to agree. But there have been plenty of times where I don't agree with what I've heard about what the cast or the crew or anybody thinks about it. Because at the end of the day, I don't care what they think. I care what I think. But I do think I aligned with them there on that one. Badger. What are your thoughts on some Patreon creators now moving to showing the full episodes like you already own the show? Yeah, so if anyone's unaware of this, it's a thing that has started to happen. I know that I believe their name is Cinebinge or Cinereact. Let me go check. Yes, Cinebinge is the one that was brought to my attention recently. That I guess is a free plug for them. I don't know. I think they watch Star Trek. That are showing the full episode in their stuff on Patreon, and their reasoning was, basically they, I guess, got some legal advice or whatever. I don't know their full reasoning. You can check out their reasoning, but they feel comfortable doing that. I agree with their reasoning. However, I'm still not comfortable doing that. So for several reasons. So they say that they believe their content is for free use, and I or fair use rather, and I agree. I would say our content is fair use, but I don't trust my opinion on that in such a legally gray area of copyright law and fair use. It's probably one of the most legally gray areas there is. So when I put up a video on YouTube, it's on YouTube to decide, right? If I uploaded a full watch along on YouTube with the full episode, it's on YouTube as the provider to take that down. And they do, and they'll copyright it. Patreon does not have a content ID system. So what could happen in theory is I could upload those with the full episode, and then Patreon could one day just go, yeah, you're not allowed to do this, and just delete my account. And like I've built up way too much on Patreon to risk that. I would need like a letter or some type of endorsement from Patreon telling me, hey, we are okay with you doing this as the provider, as the host of this site, for me to consider doing something like that. Maybe that creator got that, from them. I don't know. They're bigger than us. I don't know. Secondly, I would say outside of the copyright thing, Patreon, technically, you're not selling stuff necessarily. People are paying to support you, and then they're getting benefits from that. But we do also have the ability to individually sell access to posts. And what I'm looking to do is sell my content, not a TV show. So when you sign up to our Patreon, you are supporting us, and in exchange, you're getting our content that we create, not a copy of the TV show or movie. So that's just my opinion on that. And it would take quite a lot to move me off of that opinion. And the only time I've ever included the full thing was the episode of Star Trek Continues. And that was because it's a fan-made nonprofit thing. So by using the full episode, I am not taking anything monetarily from them. And even then, I didn't really want to do that. But I figured I think in that one scenario, it kind of makes sense. It'd be like reacting to, like, if someone made a YouTube video and I reacted to the whole YouTube video. Kind of similar. So that is how I feel about that. And you guys are all talking about it, and I'm not reading any of your messages because I've been looking at the camera. Steve said, just wanted to say thank you. Really enjoyed the Star Trek journey, even if you don't rate Star Trek 6. Keep up the great content. Well, thank you very much, Steve, and I appreciate the openness to the different opinions. Not everybody is like that, so appreciate it. Cash flow hustles. I never had a problem with Move Along Home, but sometimes in the minority, which is cool. I love being in the minority of opinion. I'm a little bit of a contrarian. I can't deny it. I can't say I do it on purpose, since we announce our opinions on things before knowing what people think. But yeah, I mean, you'll hear, if you watch our video on that, you'll hear what we have to say about it. So in terms of our issues with it. Dan, thank you so much for the super chat. Not a spoiler, but Move Along Home introduced us to to the understated vocal talents of Avery Brooks. Oh God, yeah. I can't even comment on that. I'll just move on. But thank you for the super chat. James said, I'm not like that. I think he's talking about the differences of opinion or being a contrarian. I'm not sure which one. Here we go. Here's a good one. What happened to Battlestar Galactica? A number of things. I love questions that can let me go on a tangent. Um, but real quick before I answer this, a lot of new people are in here. So super chats, I'll read right away. If you want to do a free chat question, put a Q at the beginning of it, like this person did here. So I know you're asking a question. I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. We've watched up through season 6, episode 19 of TNG, which is Lessons, and we've watched up through episode 11 of Deep Space Nine, which was Negus. So that's how far I've gotten to. Please don't spoil anything past that. Okay. Battlestar Galactica, we started watching because we watched the miniseries, the original pilot-esque miniseries, because of a live stream goal, which we hit on the live stream. So we watched it as a reward, being very open that we were not committing to watching the show. That miniseries reaction did extremely well. One of our most watched videos. I think it still might be the most liked video on our channel, which is ironic. And so we then obviously it made sense for us to try it out. So we watched the first season, and we did not hate it. But the videos themselves didn't do that great compared to that miniseries. They did good. They did better than a lot of stuff we've tried on the channel, but they didn't do great. They were not bringing in a ton of new subscribers as we got into the season. And just to be honest, the community that came with that was not, in my opinion, as positive of an experience to interact with as the Star Trek community. So we finished the first season, and all the full watch-alongs of that first season are on Patreon. And we were clear the whole time. We were committing to the first season, and that's it. And we decided when we finished that first season not to continue at this time. And that was almost a year ago at this point. So that's what happened to it. There's been a number of shows that we've watched the first season and not continued. Battlestar Galactica is just one of them. Will we ever watch it again one day? Never say never. We personally really enjoyed Battlestar Galactica 1978, and we did not hate the remake. We just didn't fall in love with it. And the spoilers, I guess, for YouTube, because it never released on YouTube, but the season finale, not our favorite. So did not hook us in at all for season 2. So that's what happened to that. But a lot of people here probably have heard this story autopsied 1,000 times. So, but thank you for the question. Josh, what do you think? What do you want the TNG movies to be? A continuation of the show, or something different where the status quo has changed and the relationship dynamics are different? I think it could be both. So like we both really enjoyed the motion picture more than a lot of people, and one of the things I liked about it is that it was not status quo, right? It wasn't like, okay, TOS ended and this crew now has still been together for 10 years and now it's just another mission. I really liked that they were all separated. They had to come back together. They weren't all separated, but they had to come back together. They had new uniforms. Things have changed. I mean, in their case, it was a 10-year gap, so it makes sense. But that was I prefer when a TV show goes to film. I prefer a lot more of the where are we now? Let's get back together. One more ride. Type of thing, even if you're going to have sequels, which is fine, but like that rather than just like, okay, the show ended and now we're still basically the show. With that being said, I'm not going to be totally closed off of that. If we get into, I think the first movie is Generations, right? If we get into Generations and that is the case, I'm not going to just immediately close off to that. We'll see. There are examples of that I do like from TV show to film as well. So that's just my personal preference, though. But I'd be open either way. But it's always interesting when you jump into a film and it's kind of like a time jump, and it's like, what has happened? What are the dynamics? I really like in Star Trek V how Scotty and Uhura are just together, and it's like not explained. It's like, oh, that just happened between the movies. I like stuff like that. Jamie, straight to jail. Straight to jail. Alexis, can we expect a Josh and Alex Elmarine skit in the YouTube reaction for Move Along Home? Unfortunately, I hate to say this, guys. I hate to say it. But with us hitting that Patreon goal and moving up to 3 a week, one of the drawbacks, we don't have a lot of time for skits. When we have our Star Trek day, we're trying to fit in 3 episodes, in a 4-hour period, and that's reaction and discussion. And most of the time, we don't even fit all that in. And that's why you see that we have to take breaks between some of the reactions and discussions because we have to pick it up the next day. Does not leave a lot of time for skits. So that's why once we got into DS9, that had kind of stopped. If one arises that we really think would be fun to do, of course, we're still going to do it. But right now, with the schedule we have and the stress that has kind of been placed on me, doing skits isn't something I'm really prioritizing. I did love doing them in the beginning of season 6 of TNG. There were some fun ones. And again, we definitely will do them if they come up, if they make sense. And also on non Star Trek stuff. So the horror gallery, our discussion videos, things like that. If we're discussing a movie, much more likely to see a skit there. But at this point with Star Trek and having to do 3 a week, it is kind of that assembly line mentality, of like, let's get through it, let's get through it. Not that we don't take time to appreciate. I mean, we just watched Lessons in our last recording, and we didn't even watch the Deep Space Nine episodes because we ended up talking about Lessons for over an hour. So we do not rush it, but we aren't gonna make the time to just do other bullshit that people don't really. They're not coming to the video for that. So it's just one of those things. Another one from Alexis. I hear Alex talk about his day job. Do you have a regular 9 to 5 job too? Or are you guys hoping to generate enough here to not do a 9 to 5? Yes, I have a regular 9 to 5 right now. And part of the Patreon goal that we just hit recently was for me to be able to dedicate more time to this and go full time. And that is something now that we've hit that goal. And I've been kind of waiting to see, like, okay, we hit the goal. What is the stability of that membership level? And it's actually grown. So not only has it stayed the same, it has grown since we hit it last month. So I am, looking to make that transition. With that being said, I'm already putting 40 plus hours of work into this channel every week, from recording to editing to social media to all the things to posting, all those things. And even if I were to get rid of my day job, as you would say, it's still a lot. So my actual main goal is to get to a point where our channel is generating enough to where I can have some help and be able to pay those people fairly and accurately. And that's still far away from here. So that's where we're at. But yeah, thank you for the question. And Alex, I don't want to speak for him, but he comes over and records and is getting more into helping with editing, but he's not, like at a point where he's, as far as I'm aware, like trying to make that transition. So that's where we're at. Griffith, Josh is transitioning. You heard it here first. Yeah, everyone's transitioning in life, in some ways. Badger, are you planning on something special when you hit the 50% through all of Trekmark? I would have to know what that point is. If you could let me know and then repeatedly reminding me, because I will forget. Yeah, I would like to do something special. That'd be cool. Paul Anner? Don't you think it's hilarious how times have changed since the makers of DS9 compared Quark to then Donald Trump? Okay. I don't know. Did they? In what way? Do we need more beards in Star Trek? I think we've had a good amount of beards, to be honest with you. But I mean, sure, if people want beards. I appreciate this, Diesel. No more skits. All right, go back to 2 a week. I appreciate that. My favorite football team is the Cleveland Browns, unfortunately. Yeah, no one's a Browns fan. Yeah, I wish. I'm seeing a lot of questions come in, so just without the queue. So just to recap, Well, I'll answer super chats right away. In terms of the general chat, if you want to ask a question you want me to read on screen, please start with a Q. Shout out John Delancey. So I know you're asking a question. And we've watched up through episode 19 of season 6 of TNG, and we've watched up through episode 11 of DS9. So that's lessons for TNG and Nagus for DS9. So please don't spoil anything past that. Juno, what do you think about the observation that Bashir is essentially a smug, superior TNG season 1 character stuck in the wrong show? I've never heard that. I don't agree. I don't find Bashir smug or superior. I find him kind of, inexperienced, kind of wide-eyed, uh, looking to experience new things and questions things. I love in Birthright when he's questioning Data about, his life. I love the kind of curiosity of Dr. Bashir. It's really interesting to see that in a doctor. Bones was old and crotchety, and, I love him for that. Dr. Crusher is very wise and very understanding. Dr. Pulaski was a doctor, but Dr. Bashir, is young, is wants to know more, and I appreciate that. Steve, what do you think about the Ferengi so far? Improvement on TNG? Yeah, 100%. They're improvement on TNG. I mean, especially early TNG. Sean, sorry I missed the queue. Joined late. No problem, man. Will you be finishing out all 7 seasons of DS9 in order once you are out of season 1? Will you be jumping around at all? So, for our Star Trek journey, which we're a little over 250 episodes into at this point, we are watching all of Star Trek, officially released canon Star Trek, in air date release order. The entire thing. So we will be watching all of DS9 as it aired alongside TNG, and then alongside Voyager, and then all of Voyager, Enterprise, so on and so on, until we've watched it all. At some point during that journey, probably either during or after Enterprise, depending on viewership levels, we'll probably start to bring in other Star Trek content that isn't just first time watching. We'll be pretty engrossed at that point as Star Trek fans, and we'll be able to, do more like TOS, analyzing type things, and just what we love about the franchise. We're already kind of getting there a little bit, but for the foreseeable next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be just first time, watching a reaction of released air date order. And as of right now, it'll be 3 a week, every week, except for in between seasons when there's 1 week for the recap. And maybe some holiday stuff will shift stuff around. But can you promise me you won't let the early filler ruin your enthusiasm for the major plot arc later? Yeah, a lot of people have warned us, just like with TNG. The first warning was TOS Season 3. Didn't think it was as bad as people said. Then the warning was TNG Season 1. Didn't think it was bad as people said. Is it the weakest season of TNG? Yes, but didn't think it was bad as people said. Then it was TNG Season 2. Now it's anywhere between the first season to the first 4 seasons of Deep Space Nine that people are warning us about. It's not going to ruin it. So, and part of that is because we are just already committed. Like, we're watching it. So there's no point in letting it ruin it for us. We got to watch it anyway. But also, we've liked it. Mostly. I probably missed some, but I think I'm caught up. So, while you guys are filtering more questions in, I want to show you something cool that I got the other day. So I've not set this up yet, obviously, but we have a Star Trek store near us, and I go there often. And last time I was there, I got this bad boy right here. Star Trek, what do they call it? Motion sensor USS Enterprise door chime. So I haven't set it up, but this is it. just like from TOS. I'm going to put it, you've seen it in some skits, but where the stairs are that go to my basement, I'm going to put it on the wall. And every time you walk by it, it's motion sensor activated. So when you walk by, it makes the door swishing sound. And then also has this button here that does 4 different phrases and sound effects. So they have the bosun whistle, the captain, Kirk saying "Captain to bridge," Scotty saying "Captain, we can't do it." That's classic. And then Bones, "What am I, a doctor or blank?" So that's really awesome. And I think this looks awesome. I love the color blocking of TOS. I love the red, yellow, the blue. So I'm going to put this up there, and every time I walk in or out of my basement, I'm going to hear the TOS door swishing sound. So I really was proud of that purchase. Now, just like everything else in my life, I just have to not be lazy and actually put it up. So we'll see when that happens. What are your favorite aspects of Cisco's command style personality so far? I've really loved in his conversations with people when he's not trying to be like, when they're not in the middle of a problem and he's like, in the ops center and he's like, "What do we do?" And he's just like kind of flat. I like when he's talking characters in is it his ready room or is it called something else? I don't know, but like his office, his conversations where you know he kind of is saying one thing, but then also underneath saying another, and that person has to read between the lines. He's really good at that. Putting on his, and also just standing on business and just putting people in their place, whether it's Odo and Kira or it's a random Starfleet person or a random alien. Just, he puts them in their place and like, hey, this is my space station. I really like those moments with them. And then, like I said earlier, just the conversations he's had with Dax, I've found really interesting. Jared, what is the store, fellow Ohioan, that would like to visit? It is called Federation Headquarters. It is a nonprofit store in Sandusky, Ohio. And so they take donations. Their workers are volunteers for the most part. And so they don't have great hours in terms of being open all the time, but they are open, I think, most days of the week until the early evening. And it's awesome. They have everything Star Trek there. So obviously I do have to go in, but for the most part, they do have it pretty organized by series. So they have like TOS in a section, TNG in a section. So it does make it easier to avoid. Plus, I'm seeing, it's like when I'm on Google or something, I'm seeing a bunch of stuff without context. It doesn't really matter unless I pay attention to it. Fun fact, last time I went, so they have a TV up and they just play Star Trek on Paramount Plus. And last time I went, when I bought this, they just so happened to have Remember Me playing on the TV, which, up to this point was my favorite TNG episode. So, I stood there and watched it for about 20 minutes. And then ads came up because they had the ad tier of Patreon Plus. So I stopped watching. So yeah, good store. Highly recommend. I bought a lot of my Star Trek stuff there. I also got this one back here. And maybe I can even do a little opening here for the stream. I got this Star Trek, my very first Star Trek comic book that I purchased. DC comic book. This was released in September of 92, which we have surpassed, so I can officially read this without spoiler. And let's open it right now. It is sealed, so I don't think it's the original seal, but and the reason I got this one, if you know the channel, we got Ardra on the cover, and it says, "Heading for hot water with the devil herself as their guide." That's pretty badass. You got Picard in the jacket, Troy, Geordi, Ensign Rowe in some type of prison. So I haven't opened this yet at all. So this is first time comic reaction. Damn, look at this first page. Open into that. That's crazy. Good art. Why is Geordi dressed like that? I don't recognize any of the names in terms of who worked on it. It doesn't look like there's any anything like that. Oh, look at this. It looks like we got the Chief and Keiko involved. They're involved in the story. Yeah, I'm going to read this. That'll be fun. Don't fold the cover. Oh no. Don't touch the vinyl. Oh. Look, man, I am not a collector for the sake of preservation. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I buy things to use them. I buy things to play with them. I buy things to ruin them. So if you're someone who gets annoyed by that, I sincerely apologize. Thank you so much for the super chat, Foxy. Hey, super excited to get back into DS9 with you guys. Here's my question: what's better, flat water or sparkly? Oh, interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of sparkling water, to be honest with you. So I like flat water. I think sparkling water can be used well in certain situations. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, thank you, Brian. It's meant to be touched. Thank you. Anyone ever see the episode of the Powerpuff Girls where the villain is a collector of action figures and he collects the Powerpuff Girls and he puts them into cases and then they defeat him at the end by ripping open all of his collected items, and every time they rip one open he's like, ah! Like writhing in pain. One of my favorite TV episodes of anything. Never use hands to read a comic. MJ Bull, what do you think of Jake's horrible fashion sense so far? Yeah, it's pretty ugly what he wears. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Interesting, James. In the process of weaning yourself off soda by replacing with sweetened sparkling water. Here's my question on this. And so my wife actually stopped drinking soda like a year and a half ago. She used to drink, a lot of Coca-Cola and stuff, and she stopped. And she drinks like sparkling water and stuff like that. And for me, I just don't understand. So like, if I'm drinking a zero sugar Sprite, okay, or a zero sugar Dr. Pepper, I understand there's artificial sweeteners. I get it. But like at the end of the day, is that like what is it going to do? Like if I stopped drinking that, how is that going to help me from a caloric perspective? It'll probably make me feel bloated because of the sodium. It'll probably make me feel bad because of the artificial sweeteners. I understand that. But from a pure like, it's kind of like I'm not drinking the real stuff. I always drink zero sugar, zero calorie soda. I don't drink. If I drink a real Mountain Dew, I'd probably have heartburn. I get heartburn all the time anyway. But that's my thing about it. All new Doctor Who. Thank you for the super chat. Highly recommend issues 47 to 50 of that TNG comic run. 4-part story called The Worst of Both Worlds with the Borg. Oh, I got to check that out. This is number 37. So I would love to have all of these, to be honest with you. Do you think that Q is played out at this point? What more would you like to see from him? Well, speaking of, because we have seen at this point a number of Q episodes that have not yet hit YouTube. And I'll just say the Q stuff that hasn't hit YouTube has been my favorite Q stuff. So coming off of True Q, I 100% thought it was overplayed and outplayed. But I've come back around. We've got some amazing Q stuff. What is your favorite guest star role on Deep Space Nine so far? Patrick Stewart excluded. It'll be coming out next week. It's Tosk in Captive Pursuit. Your favorite episode of Star Trek is in season 6 of DS9. Well, Andrew, I'm curious if if it's episode 19 or before. Can you say what it is? Because that's where we've watched up to. If it's 20 or past, then just say it's we haven't gotten to it yet. But I would be curious if it's before. If it's 19 or before. Witcher Joker the Dax episode added more Trill lore. Did that make you more excited about the Jadzia Dax character? I already was very interested, so yes, the Trill lore in that episode, I forget what it was called. I think it's just called Dax, right? That did make me even more interested, and part of me is kind of like, this isn't a spoil. I haven't been spoiled on this officially. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and guess that Jadzia Dax is the character we're getting the entire show, and that does just make me a little bit disappointed. I like the actress, I like the character, but it makes me a little bit disappointed that, that we have a Trill character, and if it's the same person, the same host, the entire show, then a part of me is like, who cares if it's a Trill at that point? But the backstory and the lore that we've gotten has already made me very interested. Whether or not it's her the entire time, do not spoil. You will be blocked, exiled. Season 6. Oh, he said DS9? Andrew said DS9? Oh my god. Wow. Never mind then. Mega, how many episodes did it take for you to realize DS9 was a space station? Yeah, hilarious. Bill, did you guys love Andor as much as most people, myself included? I did not watch any of Andor. I'm not that into Star Wars. Alex did actually do some live watch-along reactions here on the channel that you can go check out and watch. I don't think he's going to do edits of those, but he did decide to do the live watch-alongs, and from what he's told me, he loved it very much, at least a lot of it. I think he said 8 was like the best one that everyone loved. I don't know. I didn't watch it. Toshiro Cairo, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. New viewer, just listened to the first 3 episodes today. Did Dax fulfill the desire for a courtroom episode? It's not a trial, it's a hearing. But yeah, I mean, it did a little bit. It did its job in terms of a courtroom episode. I want more because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it's not a trial, it's a hearing. But yes. And thank you, your new viewer. That's awesome. Here for DS9, I assume. We have over 200 episodes of our Star Trek journey before DS9. If you want to check any of them out, a lot of them piss people off. A lot of them are pretty good. Thank you very much for the super chat. I think I'm all caught up, so you can rethrow your questions in if I missed them in the free chat. Hey, we just got one. Long Hill Andy, thank you very much. Interesting perspective on Dax if she changes during the run. That being said, would you ever delve into Doctor Who, a TV character that literally regenerates and is played by different people? We have been asked about Doctor Who a lot, and my answer has always been the same, which is if there was any franchise outside of Star Trek that probably has the amount of content, not as much as Star Trek, but the amount of content to, kind of sink our teeth into, Doctor Who would be one of them. It's something neither of us have had any experience with whatsoever. The danger there, this is just my perception as someone who's never seen it, it looks pretty sci-fi, which we like sci-fi, but not for a lot of the reasons that a lot of sci-fi people like sci-fi. So I don't know. Maybe it would be up my alley. Maybe it wouldn't be. But it would not be something like Star Trek where I would want to commit to right away, okay, we're going to watch all of Doctor Who. It would very much be, hey, let's test out for some Doctor Who. So, maybe, hey, let's do this one popular Doctor. Something like that. Plus, I know that there's like hidden episode or like lost episodes hidden, My mouse just died. Sorry for the noise, if you guys hear this. This is why you use wired accessories. All right, we're back. Sanjay, if you answered this and I missed, I'm sorry. No need to be sorry. But any sci-fi properties you're planning on tackling? Well, we did not. I did not get that question. So, um, any sci-fi prep? We don't have any plans currently for really anything. Outside of our Star Trek journey, which is the absolute number one main priority right now, we have the horror gallery, which is not a certain set, it's not a certain series. I mean, it's a group of series, it's a group of things, but it's just very general. Anything that can fit in the horror or horror adjacent, like horror sci-fi or horror, anything else. And then we have the movie requests we're doing on Patreon determined by us. And then we also have the Bridge Crew Patreon series, which right now is The Expanse. So that's a sci-fi series. We've watched the first 2 seasons, and the Bridge Crew has decided for us to do the 3rd season, which we're going to start watching very soon and post this summer. So besides that, we have no plans. And in those plans, most of those things are not even decided by us, and they're not like a series that we're committed to. So I would say in general, I would like to eventually one day watch Stargate SG-1. I would like to eventually one day finish Battlestar Galactica. I would like to watch Farscape is definitely up there for me. I would like to watch Sliders. I would like to watch Eureka. I would like to watch Babylon 5 is a big one, obviously. I would like to watch a little bit of older stuff, maybe Space 1999 or Lost in Space, some of that. Those are the main ones that are coming to mind. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Those are the main ones that are coming to mind right now. Good question. But I'm going to be 30. Oh, holy shit. I just said that and it just ruined my day. I'm going to be 30 in 1 month. And all these shows I'm talking about, I'm not going to be, we're probably not going to get to until I'm at least in my mid 30s. So that's where we're at. Just ruined my day. Is Alex going to buy a DS9 uniform? Yeah, I don't know. I think so. He might have already, to be honest with you. I don't know. Thank you so much for the super chat, Paxilus Involatus. DS9, woohoo! That is all. I appreciate it, and I agree. Long Hill Andy, another super chat. Thank you. It has moments. It could potentially surprise you. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you might be talking about Doctor Who, but thank you for the super chat. Butt lasers. Twin Peaks Brigade here to demand Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks was in the discussion for the Bridge Crew series. It is something we are open to watching one day. Oh, also, this isn't a huge, I guess, technically sci-fi. It might be more horror, but X-Files is we are watching X-Files at some point. That is happening. I don't know when or how or if it's coming to YouTube, but we are watching. It will happen. Have I ever watched Troll 2? Well, let me show you something right here. I've watched Troll 2 probably a dozen times, and I love it. Anyone who hasn't watched Troll 2 should. I want to watch 30 Days of Night. Come on, let's do it. It's purchased. It's ready to go. It's going to be in the horror gallery. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time, you know, and it's like it's just like everything else. We haven't watched it, record the reaction yet, but it's up there. We are going to watch it. Another one that I really want to do is 28 Days Later, with 28 Months Later coming out. I would like to do that one for the horror gallery as well. And just quick update on the horror gallery. It's returning to Patreon in June, and it's returning to YouTube heavily starting 4th of July. So look out for that if you're one of the people who care. Now, obviously, we have had video. We're still doing just random videos throughout. We did Night Visions last weekend, long discussion. No one watched it. That's okay. We've done videos kind of spread throughout the last few months, but heavy weekly videos, at least one video a week, if not two, starting 4th of July on YouTube. And I'm probably going to do some type of 4th of July marathon, esque, like the Sci-Fi Channel used to do, of different reactions. And Tales from the Crypt, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side, all those things that we had watched back this past fall, plus movie reactions as well. So very excited for that. And once it returns in 4th of July weekend, the plan is for it to be then a permanent installment. So last October through December was kind of the pilot season of it. And now we've already started building up the reactions and recording them to get them released again on Patreon, full uncut, starting in June, and then 4th of July for YouTube. And if you don't like horror, that's okay. We're not stopping watching Star Trek because of it, so you don't have to whine about it. It's all right. Kenneth, thank you very much for the super chat. Us Stargate fans are patient, and Expanse has been fun to watch alongside Trek. I've really enjoyed The Expanse as well. It's the first. It's ironic because the whole purpose of the Bridge Crew was to make us watch a show, not pick one that we wouldn't like or something, but it's the whole point of it was the meme that we always give up on shows after one season outside of Star Trek, and the whole meme was it's not up to us. You can make us watch whatever. And then cut to The Expanse, and we really loved it, and we've been loving it. So it's we would have continued it probably anyway, which is pretty funny. But thank you for the super chat. I have heard of the show Fringe. No idea what it is, never seen it, but I've heard of it. Empire Jeff, Jim say Indianapolis Colts owner dead at age 65. Empire Jeff, breaking news here on the stream. I appreciate it. Rest in peace to Jim Irsay, I guess. 65 is very young. All right, here we go. We got another. I got to make sure I get through all these super chats. I didn't realize we had them. I think this is the last one. Easy Bake Oven Death. Nice. Thank you for the super chat. Keep up the good work. The best is yet to come. Kira is Bay. Check your business email after the stream. I'll check it right now. I will check it right now. Is this you? This is just my IP address. Why'd you send this to me? How did you get this? Justin, have you watched Stranger Things? Horror, fantasy, sci-fi all in one. Yes, I've watched Stranger Things. Yes. Fully caught up on Stranger Things. That is, for my generation, the generation younger than me, kind of the cultural touch point of the late 2010s, early 2020s. So yes, I have watched it. John, are you aware of Babylon 5? Are you aware of the controversy as between Babylon 5 and DS9? Will you watch it? I am aware of Babylon 5. If you look on our channel, we actually reacted to Babylon 5, The Gathering, a number of years ago. I am aware of the controversy. I don't know the full details, but I'm aware that they came to Paramount or whoever, with the idea, got turned down, and then they made DS9 anyway, basically with their idea. I don't care. I mean, sorry, not that I don't care. I just mean, okay. like that's not going to make me dislike either show because again, it's all about the execution. This is what people don't understand, John. It's the execution. The execution. Did you execute the idea well? Maybe Babylon 5 does it better. I don't know. But yeah, we will watch it one day. Yeah. Do you have early thoughts on the awesomeness of Constable Odo? He's badass. He's Alex's favorite character so far, and he's up there for me. I also love his voice. I've been practicing to say Aubergenois, Aubergenois, Aubergenois. Is any of that close? I'm just gonna call him Odo. How are you guys going to handle the bouncing between DS9 and TNG each show at a time? No, we're watching strict air date release order. So after we get past episode 5 of DS9, which is coming to YouTube tomorrow, this upcoming Monday will be TNG. It will be Ship in a Bottle, episode 12, and then we'll be alternating between going by strict release date order. Oh, what's up, Julie? It's kind of perfect that you've watched Gathering, but then took a break, step away from the extremely jank pilot for the pleasantly jank series. Josh, how do you feel about religion being included in Deep Space Nine when it was either not included or presented as being something negative, like in the TNG episode "Who Watches the Watchers"? Slight pushback there on their question. I don't think it was shown strictly as something negative in TNG. I understand what you're saying from Picard's perspective, but me personally, I don't take the character's perspective to mean an overall, statement of it, if that makes sense. It's very easy though to say that. Like it's very easy to be like, okay, obviously they had Picard say this because that's what the people making the show think, and I get that. But to answer your question, I like it. I'm not personally religious myself, like I don't practice religion, but I did, I took a religions course in school, and I am very fascinated by the idea and the differences of religions and the reasonings for them. And I think that religion is a very important piece of human history, even though I don't necessarily have one that I'm, a believer of or a follower of. I do think they're very important and also very fascinating. So I am all for it being included in Deep Space Nine. Phone user is officially a member for 9 months on the YouTube. Let's go. For anyone that doesn't know, we do have channel members on the YouTube. It's mostly just for like some small things, like you get a badge by your name, in terms of you get pips the longer you're a member. In the comments, you also get to use a couple custom emojis, my face, Alex's face, and the fireball emoji. And then I try my best to have videos early. So like the YouTube members got a day early for the Deep Space Nine premiere last week. I try to do a day early when I can. Babel will, after this stream, I'll post early access for Babel, which will go up tomorrow. So we do have that as well. Not huge community, and I get that because I haven't really built it out, but I do support all of you guys there too. Yes, I have heard of Andromeda. Yeah, that's like the Gene Roddenberry one, right? I have heard of it, yeah. I think I asked the bridge crew about it once, and it was kind of a lukewarm response. How do you feel about violence and swearing being excluded or included? I don't really care either way. Violence, I mean everything comes down to, what I'm going to say, the execution, but it comes down to also, does it make sense? If if Picard was talking with Data and then all of a sudden Data said, "Sir, I'm not sure what the fuck you're talking about," I'd be like, "Whoa!" I'd be like, "Whoa, wait a minute!" But then if it's revealed that it's because Data learned about expletives and is trying to explore that, then that would be awesome. That'd be hilarious. And then as far as violence, I mean, we did have a huge pop in Conspiracy, right? When they blew up the guy's head, Remick. So, yeah, there we go. The one thing that I've always thought is way overdone in movies and TV, though, is like sex and nudity. Not that I'm against sex or nudity or anything like that, but it's just like, I feel like in a lot of movies and TV, they put it in just to like, I honestly don't know. It's kind of creeps me out a lot of the time how like far stuff goes with it. It's just like not necessary. But violence in language doesn't really bother me. Octopus, what did you guys think of Lessons? Okay, fair warning. If everyone wants to mute/leave the stream for a minute, I am going to talk about Lessons. And it's not going to be on Patreon for a few weeks, and it's not going to be on YouTube for quite a while. So this is it's a pretty far ahead. This is the last episode we watched, but it's an episode I think deserves being talked about. So I'm going to talk about it. I think I've given you enough of a spoiler warning for anyone that wants to mute or leave the stream. Lessons could very well be my favorite episode of Star Trek. I loved every single moment of it, and I was emotionally invested in the entire thing. And not only could it be my favorite episode of Star Trek thus far, all of Star Trek thus far, it might be my favorite reaction we've ever recorded of anything. And I am so excited. And we just watched it yesterday. This just happened. And I am so excited to post it eventually. Part of me wants to just like get the footage, like just get it done now and post it and skip everything else, but that's not how we do things here. And I am just so excited. The discussion was over an hour. We read a lot of patron takes, and I can go into particulars if you want, but that's where I'll leave it. And then for Alex, I won't go full into, I don't want to speak for him, but he also loved it. I can say that much. I don't know if it, feels as strong as I do in what I'm saying, but yeah, we love the character stuff. I mean, you guys might not even believe me because of how like sarcastic and stuff we are, but it's like I'm almost like hesitant to even talk about it right now on stream because I might get emotional talking about the episode. If Lessons is an episode that you haven't watched in a while, or you skip on rewatches because like you don't remember it being a standout, like if you keep in mind the things that we say and our reactions and the things we appreciate about this franchise and TNG specifically, like I would implore you to go rewatch Lessons with that in mind. And yeah, yes, yes. Season 6, the bonding. I'll say it this way. The bonding walked so Lessons could run. That's the analogy I would use. Webb, are you surprised that TNG's ability to put out bangers has only increased the longer it's gone? Not exactly typical of TV shows. I am, dude. I am surprised. I am. I mean, there are other shows I can think of that I really love later seasons. But yeah, it's rare. It's really rare. And especially after season 5, which I know you disagree with me, but season 5 is probably, in my opinion, the weakest season since season 2. So, coming off of that and it being kind of a low point, season 6 has just It's one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen. And it's up there with season 4. I am so excited. I was talking about this with Alex last night after recording. I'm so excited. I don't know how season 7 is going to be, but let's assume that it's like somewhere between okay to good or whatever. But it's not on this level. I am so excited to do, a full breakdown comparison of season 4 of TNG to season 6 because they're both so amazing. And like just pointing out like what are the little flaws, what are the little missteps in the episodes of each. Yeah. I hope that there's a season of Deep Space Nine that I eventually love as much as season 4 or 6 of TNG. Lessons is the bonding benchmark when referring to the top tier. For me, yes. However, we're probably still going to joke about the bonding because I just feel like the name, it just makes the meme better because it's the bonding. Like it's so funny. So we'll probably still continue with the bonding as the meme. But for me, yes, I would say the quality of life, chain of command, all of those this season to me. And I would throw in others too, but I don't want to spoil ones that haven't come up unless people specifically ask about them. But there's been other ones too. Iborg I would put in there from last season. Which season 16 G episode is the one you felt was terrible? Equiel. And that's coming soon. Thank you so much for the super chat. All new Doctor Who. In some of the Star Trek books, there's a hidden symbiote war between the Trill and the creatures from Conspiracy. Nice. Yeah, Star Trek books are something I really want to get into, but I don't really read, so I'm going to have to get over that. Cash Wednesday says, hot take, unification is mid. I agree 100%. Good moments. Good moments. I mean, like I said in our discussion, it's a C with fan service moments that bring it up. But I don't really want to go back and watch it again. Question: do you still hate Worf's ponytail? It is what it is. I like it in the sense of like the idea of him having a ponytail, but like the way it just like cups his ears like he's wearing earmuffs or something. I don't know. I don't like that. Tuck it behind your ears. Remember me got dethroned? I think so. I think so. We give a big pop for the flute. Absolutely. No love for Starship Mine. Starship Mine is good. Starship Mine is good. It's a good one. Like I said, to be honest with you, outside of Aquiel, I think basically every episode this season, unless I'm forgetting some. There might have been some early on that I've already forgotten, but Starship Mine has been really good. Oh, like True Q. Yeah, wasn't a huge fan of that. Obviously, there was like Man of the People. I liked Guilty Pleasure. But for the most part, Time Zero Part 2. But let's just basically leave that in season 5. Has anything supplanted Transfigurations as the random forgettable episode? No. And it's so funny because we still bring it up on and off camera to this day. So I love Transfigurations, but for a different reason. You read the novel in Imzadi? Yeah, we had Imzadi, the novel, sent to us by a patron, so in our PO box. So I have it. It's behind me. Hopefully I'll read it one day. How does DS9 season 1 compare with TNG season 1 so far? Both are not, both have their bad episodes. I would say that the difference for me is for TNG, it took until Heart of Glory, which I think was episode 19, if I remember correctly, 18 or 19 or 20, somewhere in there later in the season to have an episode I truly, truly loved, if I'm remembering correctly, as to where in DS9, the first one was episode 6, Captive Pursuit. So it found its footing a little bit quicker, in my opinion. It's also building off the back of TNG in a way that TNG couldn't really do with TOS. TNG really had to start from scratch. So that's different there. But overall, just from what I've seen of DS9, I would say the season 1 is stronger than season 1 of TNG, but not by much. Thoughts on Birthright? I liked it. I don't think it's like amazing or anything, but we hate part ones, and I think I like the part one more than part two. And the part two, I still thought was like a good. It was a good, interesting episode. It's not one of my favorites, but as a two-parter, it's a very separated kind of two-parter. Like part one and part two are very different. It still will be posted as one reaction. Patreon tomorrow, YouTube obviously in a little while. But yeah, I guess a lot of people don't like it. Don't like Birthright. I don't think it's shit or anything. It's not my favorite. Like I just think it's good. Yeah, I talked about this earlier, but seeing the DS9 sets in Birthright, didn't like it. I love the exterior shot when they show the Deep Space Nine station at the very beginning. That's cool to see that in HD because I mean it's space, it's a visual effects shot completely. But the inside of the space station remastered, did not like it. Did not like it. Oh, Mzadi has an audiobook read by Jonathan Frakes. Okay, well I'm getting that right now. I'm signing up for Audible. Classic. This is classic American zillennial. Having the physical book, then listening to the audiobook so you can say you read the book. Is there anything more zillennial than that? You think TNG season 6 is amazing? DS9 season 6 asks TNG season 6 to hold its beer. We'll get there. We'll get there. Damn. Andrew, have you checked out or thought about checking out the Orville? Yeah, I think I might have actually confirmed this, but we are going to, at least I plan to watch the Orville when, I mean, not maybe not in like strict release order, but like when we get to that point, because like I said a little bit earlier, if you were here, like once we get to like post Enterprise, or maybe even when we're just watching Enterprise, depending on how the viewership goes, like we're gonna be more open to throwing in some other stuff, and the Orville is definitely one on the list I want to watch. Would you frequent Quark's bar if you were on Deep Space Nine? Absolutely. I'm a big gambler. Okay, but that's something about myself. I'm a big gambler, big Vegas guy. I would absolutely go to his casino and the bar as well. If we're talking straight up bar, of course I'm picking 10 forward. But if I was on Deep Space Nine, I would absolutely go to the promenade and to the casino and the bar. Favorite Trek drink? Aldebaran whiskey, Canar, Tranya, Romulan ale, or gotta go with the Tranya, man. Gotta have a glass of Tranya. Do you guys play Warhammer 40K or any tabletop games? I've never played Warhammer. I enjoy tabletop games. Unfortunately, I don't really have like an in-person friend group that's available to play. So, and I've also haven't gotten huge into like the really, really complex ones. The ones I really enjoy, what I would say would be my favorites, they're probably like basic picks to someone who's into tabletop games, but I'm a really big fan of Cosmic Encounter. That's one of my favorites. And then the sequels off of that as well. I also really love the Eldritch Horror games. So Arkham Horror, Arkham Asylum, Eldritch Horror, those ones. And I also love like easy party, not like party games like Cards Against Humanity, is whatever, but like party games that are like really quick and easy, that are kind of in that same vein of tabletop games, but have a little bit of a less buy-in. Something like Hues and Cues is a good game. things like that. But again, I don't have, unfortunately, like in person friends that are into that. When I was in high school and growing up, I had a lot more friends that were into that and could have game nights, but they've all obviously, as with life, you go your separate ways, you do your own things. You're not really in person anymore. And Alex is not huge into tabletop games, so I have three brothers, and they, for the most part, are. We play Dungeons and Dragons sometimes together, and but it just comes down to time. Everyone has stuff going on, so I don't get to play them as much as I would like. But yes, and I've never played Warhammer. Sounds fun though. Horrified is a good board game. Yes, I did. I've heard about that, and the cover looks interesting, but I've never bought it. What is your favorite Stranger Things season? For me, season three. Won't go into the details for people watching due to spoilers. Yeah, this is gonna sound really weird, but for a while, my favorite was season two, and I know that's like the the least favorite. But with that being said, I probably would go with season four. No spoilers, but basically the whole storyline with Max and just everything in that season with her and I think the actor's name is Caleb. I don't remember the character's name. Was the character's name Caleb? I don't remember, but all that stuff and with the Kate Bush and everything and all those sequences, I thought that was just really really well done. The show is pretty mid, like overall, like it's not an artistic masterpiece or anything. It's pop culture garbage for the most part, but I love pop culture garbage. So yeah, that's honestly probably my favorite. But they're all good. I think all the seasons have been good. Season one is really good. And is definitely the most like cinematic, probably from like a filmmaking aspect. So I've enjoyed them all. One thing that did disappoint me about season four is how separated everybody was and how long like it took to get people together. But I get it. Actors have schedules. There was COVID. I understand all that. Yeah, Max was absolutely standing out. Great cast addition, 100% agree. They've done that thing where they bring in a bunch of new characters. I mean, I'm not going to name anybody, so not really spoilers. But Stranger Things loves to, and a lot of modern TV loves to bring in a new character only to set them up and then kill them because they don't want to kill any of their main characters. Max has been one of those rare ones where have not done that. So she's probably my favorite character of the show, to be honest, at this point. How many expectations from the pre-show discussion for DS9 have been met, or are you still looking for? I think a lot of it has been met. The main thing I'm still looking for is the interconnectivity. And I've even read comments of people saying like, "Oh, this show has consequences. This show has arcs. This show has and I haven't seen that yet. But we're only 11 episodes in, so that's the one thing I would say I'm looking forward to. But in terms of my expectations, it has basically met most of them. All right, guys, I'm going to get wrapping up here. So I think I got all of the super chats. So thank you for those. You can throw one in if you want. Do it quick to make sure I don't miss it if you want to throw one in. But if you're new here, I always end the live streams with answering the most random, ridiculous question. It can be Star Trek related, but you probably are going to have better luck of being chosen if it's not Star Trek related because I want it to be completely random and obscure. I've answered what kind of pizza I would be or different types of things like that. So just random obscure question. I'll answer one or two or however many I think are funny, and that's how we'll end today. I think this has gone pretty well here with the StreamYard that I'm using now. I love being able to put the stuff on screen like this. Do you think we'll find out who Odo's people are? I do hope we get some backstory at some point, but I don't want it to be an over-explained thing. Same thing I would say with Data. Um, but yeah, you can start throwing those in. I'll give it a couple of minutes, and then I'll head out. Babel will be up for early access. It's already on Patreon, the YouTube edit, but I'll put it up for early access for the YouTube members here in a few minutes, and then for uh, the rest of YouTube, it'll go up tomorrow. All right, I'll start answering some. So first one, came to mind because we just had an experience recently. What was your favorite verbal gaff? Mine was Alex's shift shaper. We had one just that went up on Patreon. Everyone yelled at us because we didn't realize that the shuttlecrafts were runabouts, and I was saying roundabout. So we go into this reaction. I think it's the passenger, and I'm like, okay, guys, I get it. They're roundabouts. So everyone got really mad. That's one of my favorites for sure. Um, and Shift Shaper was a good one, absolutely. Um, let's see here. Michael said, "What was your best Halloween costume as a kid or an adult?" Well, I don't have a specific one, but I would just say me and my wife do like to do couples costumes. This past year, we were Charlie Brown and Lucy. But probably my favorite ones that we've done almost a decade ago at this point, we were Cosmo and Wanda from Fairly Odd Parents, and my younger brother, who was a teenager at that time, was Timmy Turner from Fairly Odd Parents. So that was a three-person costume. And then a number of years ago, we're big Parks and Rec fans, and a number of years ago, I was Burt Macklin, and my wife was Janet Snakehole. So we love to try to do deep cuts. Charlie Brown and Lucy is pretty basic, but we try to do deep cuts. We like to do that. We don't like go out to huge parties or anything, but anytime we do get invited to something, we want to make an excuse to have a couple's costume. So that's always fun. Oh, I'll throw you on here as well, Sanjay, because you both asked the same question back to back. So thank you. Here's an interesting one. Oh, just lost it. Josh said, if you had to change your hair color, what would it be? This isn't really. This is kind of similar, but I've always been of the opinion that once I start to go gray, I'm just gonna go gray, even if that means dyeing my hair gray. I think I would look pretty cool, pretty badass. And as you can see, it is starting. It is starting. Um, my head is pretty good for the most part. I have a good head of hair, but I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I do have some grays, absolutely. But more so my facial hair. I got some coming in on my mustache and on my beard. I'm just gonna go gray, and I'm just gonna commit. Or maybe I'll do they still do Just for Men Touch of Gray? I could do that. All right. That is where we will leave it. Thank you, everybody, for being here on this random stream. I don't have any schedule or a purpose for these. I just do them when I have time and feel like it. So, or when I should be editing and want to procrastinate. So, thank you for being here with me for this 2 hours. Appreciate all the super chats and just all of you guys being here and joining me. So, appreciate it. And I will see y'all later. Check out the YouTube video tomorrow for Deep Space Nine. And the next week, we'll start alternating, going back to TNG and then alternating between TNG and Deep Space Nine. So it's a fun time. I hope everyone's excited. I hope everyone's enjoying the content. And I'll see y'all later.